G'day guys, welcome to PBHQ Live. This is episode number 336. I'm Dwayne Nichols. I'm live here in Wagga. Who and where are you? Drop a comment in the chat. Let me know who you are and where you're watching from. Did you get to play on the weekend? Here in Australia, obviously, the Super Sevens Pro Division was on. The biggest national event here in the country, although it has seen a bit of a decline in numbers to begin this year. Let us know if you were there, what you thought of the event and everything that surrounded it. I have spoken to a few people that were there, and I will be sharing some of their thoughts and comments tonight here on the show, as well as a few of my own. Got some stuff to mention for some sponsors, some international stuff. So there's a bit of stuff going on in Asia at the moment. An event happened on the weekend just gone, an event coming up this weekend, as well as an event that's actually been postponed for this weekend. And I'm still getting texts, literally as we speak, from some people about the event. Jamie Angus just getting back to me too late. He might have to jump over in the chat now and drop those comments in the chat. Michael Namoski is in, Lance is in, Tom Boyd, Brad Short is in from Wicked Assassins. If you can do me a favour too, hit the share button, jump over to your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, Bebo, whatever. Wherever. Just drop a share, let everyone know that PBHQ is happening here tonight. Amir is in from Malaysia as well. Simo is in. Christy is in as well. Johnny Robber is in off the back of a big weekend for those guys. So let's just get on with the show. Paintballshop.com are doing a free shipping deal on the HK Army SLR goggles. So for anyone that's looking at a new set of goggles for this year, the SLRs have been pretty popular. I see more and more people wearing them these days. Every time I see pictures from events and whatnot, they're starting to become a more popular mask. And one of the guys who rests at the field here locally has a set now. I think they're a big improvement on the KLR, which was wildly popular. I think the KLR would have been one of the best-selling masks probably of all time. But yeah, the SLR is a big improvement on those. And if you want them, you can get free shipping with the code FREESHIPSLR at paintballshop.com for this week. So head over there, and like all things HK Army, they have heaps of variations as far as colors, lenses, all sorts of stuff. So make your way over and pick something up. Russell from New Zealand is in, Timmy Colgan from WA, Jono Collins from Sydney. Got people joining in from all over, which is good to see. And Jono Collins and the guys actually paid their rego for the Wagga 3-man coming up in a month's time, which I'm so underprepared for a month out from the event. Although I'm getting there. It's been a bit hectic here at the field with 101 other things on at the moment. But it's I think I've got 1 or 2 team spots left. So if you're looking to play the Wagga 3-man, it's going to be a one-day event. It's going to be a cheap, I don't like the word cheap. It's going to be an affordable day, a good value, affordable day of paintball, a bit of 3-man, bit of fun, no sheep stations on the line. So get yourself registered for that one. Take one of the last couple of spots. Estevan's in, Susan's in from over in the States. And Dan from PPG is in as well at the moment. So thanks for joining in. And I'm going to go into more detail about this in a little bit later in the show. But the Eskimo brothers, yet again, getting themselves on the podium and yet again on top of the podium at the Super Sevens. First place for those guys. So a congrats from Gladiator to the Eskimo brothers. It's I've mentioned it on the show more times than I care to remember. But the amount of Gladiator teams that are regularly featured on podiums is not by mistake. The best teams choose to use the best gear. And when it comes to tanks, all the best teams are using Gladiator. And that now includes Adelaide's best team, the Adelaide Assassins, who came on board in the last couple of weeks. Alex Orr is in. Hayden Campbell from New Zealand. Alex Smith is in too. So thank you guys for checking in for tonight's episode. And drop a comment if you've got anything to tell us. Hayden may have been amongst the players. I'm not sure if you guys seen the photos that I shared over the weekend, but I think it was the Ashburton Paintball Club in New Zealand. They set up their field in the snow on the weekend just gone, which, it's incredible that anywhere has snow at the moment, but they did and got out to play. Pretty cool stuff for those guys. And Connor Reed is joining in at the moment as well. So thank you, mate, from on supervising bath time. Yeah, well, while the kids play, mate, you get to check out some paintball stuff along the way. And Wimpy saying Gladiator and Champions causation or correlation. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the tanks or it's just a happy coincidence that all the best people choose to use the best tanks. I can't imagine that you could claim that the tanks make you the best, but I've also never known anyone to have an issue with their tank. Just absolutely rock solid bit of gear. Apparently it was at Mount Hutt, approximately 2 hours out of Christchurch. I feel like when I went to New Zealand, it was only in my Facebook memories not that long ago. I seen photos of it. It's where I went snowboarding for the first time was on Mount Hutt, and I did an absolutely miserable job of it over there. I feel like it would have been down around there, but I 100% can't remember. I travelled from Kaikoura though, but geography I'm getting a bit mixed up. But let's get on with the paintball stuff for tonight. NXL news. Damian Ryan, of many pro teams in the past, Infamous and Ironman probably most recognisably, is returning to pro after being out of the Pro Division for what must have been 3 or 4 years. He will be playing with Columbus LVL in 2023. They've dragged him out. He will be shooting dye equipment after he's been a MacDev, I don't know if you would call him a rep or a reseller or what that he's been for MacDev the past couple of years, but he'll be shooting dye this year with those guys. He'll also be sponsored by Vulcan, who he had a pretty public falling out with in the past. He worked for Vulcan for a couple of years and was fired via a Facebook post. I can't remember what the catalyst for all of that was, but that was an interesting time. And he attracts controversy. When it comes to being on the field, he's a center player that's a threat. He's a unique player. He finds his way through the center of the field in unconventional ways. He can blow games wide open with the way that he plays the game, which is why he's so valuable to teams. I think of A-Rod, who's been with Dynasty and the Iron Man and now with AC Diesel in a similar vein. Some of those guys, Ollie Lang's obviously the key one at it, that can just go up through the center of the field and make things happen. I think he's in that sort of category. Maybe not quite as good as the other two guys, but he's definitely got the ability. So that's an interesting pickup. He has been very outspoken against the NXL the last couple of years as well, which is all the more interesting as to why he's returning. And did I see the beef with LVL and Infamous? Yeah, if you haven't seen that, that whole thing with the DNA Pro gear or whatever, it's Pro DNA gear. That's really interesting. The LVL guys had a player pinched by Infamous and then took all their Pro DNA gear and marked it down below cost to sell it off as like a get back at Infamous thing. It was, a bit wild. Never seen anything quite like that. Or quite the same as that, I would say. It was, very unusual. I would say not the best way to do business, but who am I to say how to do things? Speaking of doing business, the way I would do things if I were you guys and I was watching this show right now is I would get in touch with me to buy one of these. The PBHQ Australia hats, the trucker hats, thanks in part to Chris Dickens for coming up with the little patch on the front there, and a local supplier here in Wagga who I got to do up the hats. I am very rarely without a hat. Actually, doing this show is one of the few times during the week where I'm not wearing a hat, and I've got a bit of a thing as far as the quality of hats is concerned. I really don't like cheap and nasty hats. I've owned plenty over the years, which is why it was really important to me that I was able to go through a local supplier and I could actually sort of touch and feel and try on the hat prior to wearing it. So I really like these. I feel like, if it gets stuck on that trophy back there, really high quality stuff. Job super well done, snapback. I'm really liking them. They're cheaper if you're a patron of the show too, so reach out and we'll be able to get you set up for that. Richard saying most of the bounty hunters have Gladiator tanks as well. Yeah, well, most people do now, mate. I feel like across the board, if you went back 5 or 6 years, everybody had a Ninja tank because they were probably the easiest to get, the most accessible here in Australia, and Ninja make a good product. But now Gladiator comes along, Australian company, and they've just associated themselves with the best teams, the best brands, the best Monday night webcast, give or take any other Monday night webcasts here in Australia. So I think off the back of that, most people now, especially newer players to the game, when you're looking at the paintball market here in Australia and you're looking at what you want to get as far as products are concerned, well, Gladiator is a brand you're going to see front and center in almost all advertising. The best teams are using it, so of course you will use it as well. All right, the Super Sevens Pro Division. Tell me what you thought. Did you get to check out the games over the weekend? Did you play in the games over the weekend? Did you watch the webcast? It was a little disappointing to see only 6 teams out at the event. This is not the only event that is down on numbers. Unreal photo, by the way. Core Photography getting all 5 of the Eskimo Bros in the one picture. Although you can barely see Johnny Robert. He's short, but you can see his red hair there in the middle of the photo. J-Rad over in the corner, the Simpson boys standing tall. Great photo. Really like that one. Eskimo Bros got the win. Sydney SWAT second. Cartel Nation, a combination of the Southeast Cartel and the Eskimo Nation teams, getting third. There was every chance that those 2 teams were just going to fall apart and not play, and they came together and got themselves a podium. So that's good to see. Eastside Raw picked up 4th. And then Black Flag and Colt took up the lower rankings for the weekend, missing out on the finals. From what I've seen, the webcast was probably as good as it has ever been at Yarramundi. So shout out to Adam Connolly for all of his efforts on the webcast. I think the standard of the top 2 teams was far and away higher than the other teams. It was really a race for third. I mentioned that last week on the show, that the weekend, I assumed that it was going to be a SWAT and Eskimo Brothers final with a race for third. I really didn't know what to make of Eskimo Nation. I thought Raw were probably the real chance. I thought Colt were maybe an outside chance at picking up that spot. And Black Flag, they're still developing a lot of younger and less experienced players. I think they're only in their 3rd pro event for the most part for that crew. Some probably even less than 3 pro events. So I didn't really picture them being there, but Cartel Nation came together. They grabbed Ralph, who'd played with the Titans in the past. And then the best players from those 2 teams sort of came together, along with the return of Sean Patrick, who looks like he ate the 2017 Sean Patrick that I knew. Dude is looking jacked at the moment. Got out there, a little bit rusty on day 1, but came back and absolutely blitzed them on day 2. Michael Nomotsky saying it was heaps of fun. Christy saying thank you. Wimpy saying nothing against the Super Sevens teams and players, but hard to build a spectator narrative with only 6 teams. Yeah, and so I've been watching a few documentaries lately. I grew up, and I've mentioned this on the show in the past, an enormous wrestling fan, WWF, WWE, WCW, whatever it was. I watched it all as a kid, and I've watched a little bit again lately, but more so I've been watching documentaries about the old days in wrestling. And it's really made me realize, and wrestling is the perfect example of this, is it's not actually about the wrestling itself. It's about the stories. It's about the good guys, the bad guys. It's about the characters that you come to like or hate and want to see win or lose. Paintball doesn't have a lot of that, and Marcelo Margot is the perfect example. He is a big believer in this, and he does well through his stuff with social media, with PTG as well. You've got to create that story. That's why guys, and you see like Harris Hussein, who plays with NYX or has played with NYX and might be at Russian Legion. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. He makes the game. You want to watch NYX play because everyone wants to see Harris get shot in the face. That's just part of the game. And we need more of that for whatever reason. If we can create a narrative and create a story, and that's on the commentators, that's on everything involved. You've got to have good guys and bad guys. It's the same in the NRL or the AFL. There's teams that you want to see win. There's teams that you want to see lose. All of those things combined make it compelling. And paintball really needs it, because if you just sit down to watch paintball, not super entertaining. But if you know people, if you know the backstory, all of those things, it makes you want to watch. So if there's any way that I can help build that story up, if anyone from the Eskimo Brothers wants to send me a text and tell me that they hate people on SWAT and we can yeah, we can get all that happening. Well, yeah, maybe we can make things a little bit juicy here, but that's definitely my opinion on it. But yeah, like I said, webcast is unreal. Field layout looked really fun. The quality of the matches between SWAT and Eskimos was good. The quality of the matches between the lower ranked teams was good because they're at a similar level, but SWAT and Eskimo brothers are just far and away the teams to beat. And I felt a little bit, far be it from me to feel bad for SWAT, but the penalty in the final, I thought was pretty unjustified. So I did go and check the rule book. I 100% went through and looked. So the player, now Mason, who came out from the Lucky 15s, playing with SWAT, 3-50, picks up paint off the ground, shoots, was eliminated. Picking up paint off the ground is in the rule book for Super 7s. Who knew? I certainly didn't. That is a rough way to get eliminated, for one. But then it was said that he was communicating in addition to doing that. So a penalty was thrown, and not just a penalty, but a major penalty, blew that point open that had been going for something like 7.5 minutes. So that's a really rough way to lose a point that's been dragged out for already 7 out of the potential 10 minutes. This is coming from a guy who's pretty much been I would blame myself and say the key reason that we lost a semi-pro event, losing my tent cover diving into snake years ago and progressing down the field and getting eliminated and a penalty off the back of that. There's some pretty crappy ways to lose paintball games, but that is right up there. And as far as picking paint up off the ground, that's a PSP rule from way back, right? I don't even know. The NXL, or it might have just been a Millennium rule. I don't think it was ever a rule in the US, or at least not that I'm aware of. Crap rule. If you're going to amend anything in the Super 7s rule book, go in next week and send out a message to all team captains and just amend that rule, because that is garbage. That's a terrible way to lose. I'm not for it. Reece Smith joining in. Alex Orr saying, I thought I was a villain. You can be, mate. Absolutely, we can build you up. Tell me if you want me to fabricate a story, I can. Or if you've, hurt some people and broken some fingers in real life, I can. Let's do a 60-minute style. What are they like? I don't think expose is the word. A current affair. Like, let's deep dive into Alex Orr's deep history, dark history, menacing history here on PBHQ, perhaps. And Will McDonald saying, sorry, Alex, you're my hero. Yeah, no, absolutely. As someone who has played a lot of the two on the snake side, seeing a guy like Alex make his way out to snake corner just repeatedly through lanes and lanes of paint, you go down as the hero in my book too. Anytime I step out of a bunker to make that bump, just get torched, paint everywhere. Alex just does it like he's got a force field all the time. John O'Collin saying, Alex touched me. I don't know if that's the kind of content that we're looking for. But yeah, look, rough one to go out on. They still had time to come back, and SWAT did drop the ball as far as blowing the horn or the towel when they still had time to do that and potentially come back. In my opinion, I don't know what the discussion was there. There might have been a few hot heads in the pits. They might have lost track of time, whatever the case might be. But ultimately, the Eskimo brothers got the win, and deservedly so. Christy, he leaves the seat up all the time. Yeah, well, what a horrible human being. You must just kick him out of the house. And Richard saying you can see the pro players in the US do it. Are you referring to pick up paint? Yeah. So as far as my understanding of the Super 7's rulebook, the two worst penalties that I've ever seen, and I'm not even including my own, is losing your tank cover. That's just rough luck. But that is in your rules. You can't leave equipment behind. So be it. Whatever. Not a big deal. But there used to be, and I'm not sure if it is still a rule, that the refs at Super 7s, which I've never seen in any other league in the world, had like this hold call where they could stand over a player and hold their hand up, effectively having that player like be a neutral player whilst they checked them for a hit. And you couldn't shoot that player. You couldn't progress on that player. That terrible rule. I hope that's been taken out of the rule book. It came up once years ago, not directly on us, or at least not that I can remember. Terrible rule. Picking up paint, also a terrible rule. Alex Orr saying it's an elimination, picking up paint, not a penalty. Yeah, and even an elimination is a terrible idea. Why can't you pick up paint? Realistically, it's probably going to be a detriment to the person picking it up. If it's already been shot, it could have been on the ground half the day. It could have came out of the pod that they just loaded. Let them pick up paint. I don't get it. I really, really don't understand that one. And if they're putting broken paint in their gun, well, they're not going to be shooting that out of there. Yeah, and I'm very confident that I've seen people pick up paint at sevens in the past. I actually vividly remember on the pro field, I can't remember who it was from Crisis, maybe Nick Lamb had a loader go down, and he put his loader down his jersey and was like musket loading balls in one at a time off the ground. Alex Orr saying neutral player hasn't existed since like 2004 or 5. Well, about 2019 it certainly existed. And Simo saying neutral rule was pulled on me. I got a yellow. Well, yeah, there you go. About 2019, I remember after an event, a couple of people telling me that it happened. I mustn't have been at the event because I imagine if I was there, I would have been having a mad conversation with John Caruana. Moving on. The other results from the weekend, and I only touch on this briefly for two reasons. I don't know a lot about the event, but the SPL in Malaysia happened over the weekend, and this is like a feeder event. They have an open division, they have a mechanical division, and a beginners division. This was the open division. The K Troopers got the win. So hopefully I can cover more Malaysian stuff this year. They've had a tough time of it during COVID like everybody, but things are starting to happen again over there. So shout out to the K Troopers. This player, I have no idea who this player is. They are from the K Troopers. I can only tell because of the shoulder of their jersey. But yeah, great photo. Look at that field. There's a few photos I've been sent, and shout out to Amir on sending them through to me. The field looked like a pig pen. There is no other, there was inflatable bunkers on top of a slop of mud. Absolutely disgusting. Most of us have played in something like that in the past. That looked pretty rough. Shout out to everyone who played that event, and congrats to the guys on getting on the podium. Wimpy says, I think the paint rule relates to guns being chronoed on specific bore. Yeah, and Christy saying if it has debris on it, it could hurt someone. Yeah, I guess I could understand that, but yeah, really just I don't understand it. And like Alex said earlier, it's an elimination, not a penalty. It's just a really rough way in a final. If it happens at a three-man or a social event, so be it. But a final when a couple of grand's on the line, one way or the other, pretty rough way to go out. Jamie Angus saying Eskimo Brothers Paintball, presumably Jamie Angus, said I ran down a ref once. And yeah, if there was ever a video that we should clip up and put on TikTok to go viral, not that Jamie would understand now that he's over the hill and all these new fandangled social medias are coming out, but man, that video was an absolute cracker, and I'd love to replay that one over and over again here on the show. Quick mention tonight for an event coming up this weekend. The Singapore Paintball Series returns at Red Dynasty Paintball Park in Singapore. 9 teams, 5 of which traveling internationally. Malaysia is represented. I think I spoke to Ben earlier today. I think he might have said that Brunei was being represented on this one, or Indonesia. He did send me a list and I kind of glossed over it and missed it. STK as well as STK Entourage will be playing in the event. STK, by the way, Timmy Colgan has sent him a message earlier, got back to me. Pretty solid lineup. Those guys have won the Singapore Paintball Series on their last couple of ventures out there, so I imagine they would go in favourite again. Truthfully, most anywhere in Asia, STK are going to be the favourite when they show up to the event. 10.5 balls per second, race to 3 format, live webcast with Ben and Dom. You'll see it all on the Singapore Paintballs thing for the weekend, so keep an eye out for that. I think they do it on Facebook and YouTube, or YouTube and Twitch. Ben and Dom might be able to remind me. Yeah, it is Jamie that's in the chat. So yeah, if you haven't seen that Eskimo Brothers clip, someone's going to have to go into the archives and dig that one up. One of the best viewer moments. I can't imagine Yowie really enjoyed it back in 2018 or 19. Christy saying that she misses the muddy photos so much. And Reece Smith said that one of the Furious players drew a penalty for being called neutral. So get rid of the neutral rule. Hopefully that doesn't exist anymore, and get rid of the can't pick up paint rule. So yeah, Singapore Paintball Series, keen to see that one return, keen to see how the guys from STK as well as Entourage go. We'll be backing them. I also did a bit of research earlier today into the options for WA teams. I've mentioned it on the show and I've never really done the research in detail. It is comparable flight-wise to fly from Perth to Singapore, but then the other things like entry, accommodation, distance to the airport, the cost of paint at the event, so many other factors. You would be mad. You would pretty much be mad to head from WA to Sydney to play in the Super Sevens when you could play in Singapore. It's just, yeah, the costs. A box of paint at the Singapore Paintball Series this weekend will be 75 Singaporean dollars. That works out to be about 81, 82 Australian dollars. So it's coming in $10 to $15 per box, cheaper. The format, playing 10.5 BPS race to 3 with an 8-minute clock. Split deck games too. So the format is going to be more affordable. There is 6 prelims, which obviously is similar to the Super Sevens this weekend, but on a 10-team weekend at the Super Sevens with 9 prelims across 3 days. Yeah, the Singapore Paintball Series would be really incredibly appealing for anyone playing out west, and I can see why the guys do it. Everybody's saying what a meme that video is. I totally agree. And Kai saying so much easier and cheaper for us to play in Singapore. Yeah, and it's a shame that that's the case. But I think flight time wise as well, I can't remember if we flew out of Melbourne to Perth or Sydney. I think it was Sydney. It's about, either way, it's about 5 hours east-west and 5.5 west-east, or whichever the case might be. And to Singapore, I feel like it's about 6 or 7. It's not a dramatically longer flight, maybe a touch longer to go that way. And there is discount airlines like Scoot doing international deals where if you get on at the right time, you're going to save plenty of money. So, yeah, it's if you're wondering why teams like STK and why Plague and the other teams out in WA don't make the trip over and play in the Super Sevens, well, that's pretty much your answer. It's just more affordable. And you get the international aspect as well. You get to go out and check out another country if you go a day or two early. Timmy's saying the same flight time. I thought it was a little longer to Singapore. There you go. So same flight time, similar costs, the addition of an international holiday for a day or two if you go over there. And Singapore being, it's like a hub for the world. If you were going to travel onwards from Singapore elsewhere, so many flights in and out of Changi Airport. So I guess it just has that option. You're closer to the rest of the world as well. And I just seen, where'd the comment go? That Danny, where was the surname? Because I did see some of the comments from Danny as well. Danny Collins for round 2, says Tom. Now, I think Danny was from the UK. I did see a few of his comments throughout the weekend. Yeah, stirring the pot, and I like that. That's what PBHQ was really built on, honestly, was bulk banter in the comments. And that's, it's the place that the community can get together. The Super Sevens is the only event really, other than Coffs Harbour, that live stream regularly. Adelaide do a little bit of it as well with Will McDonald. But yeah, I think that's just... that's what it should be about. It's very rare, especially, I can look in the comments now and see a couple of people from WA, people in Dubbo, people in Adelaide, people in Sydney, here in Wagga. Reese is up in the Hunter Valley. Central Coast, everywhere. There is people from all over Australia, guys from New Zealand, Susan from the US. It's hard to get everyone together in one place often. It's really only possible to do it via things like PBHQ and the Super Sevens webcast. Get in the chat and interact with one another. It's my favorite part of the show, and I love interacting with everyone too. So, get on board and do it. And Timmy Colgan saying Entourage are continuing on for the following week to play in Malaysia for the MXL. Unreal. That is awesome. And that's what I mean. When you come out to Sevens, what's your option? You go down for the Canberra NXL if the weeks line up, perhaps. It's just, not quite the same. Speaking of events over here, that are coming up. I have the ECPL listed as coming up on the 4th and 5th this coming weekend. It's actually been postponed. The area of Malaysia where the ECPL was to be happening had massive floods, I believe, in late January or early Feb. And they've just postponed their first event, which I only found out earlier today. Again, shout out to Amir for sending through that information, but you can see all these other events. So the MXBL Div 3 on the 18th and 19th, and the week prior to that, where Entourage will be playing as their Div 1 and Div 2 weekend. And the NXL ACT is coming up on March 19, and the Wagga 3-man the following weekend. Photo of Simo there. Little shout out. He's in the chat. And Tom said, I think Mike is polishing his Crocs instead of being on here. Well, when you've got a collection of Crocs that big, it would take a while, I suppose. Righto, quick shout out for some birthdays. Jason from Singapore, Rob, Jakey Mal Baxter, Reese, who's in the chat right now, Fabian, Kale, and Logan. A few legends of Australian paintball there. Great photo of Jakey Mal Baxter too. Shout out to all you guys. Rookie, hope you have a good birthday. And Reese Smith, if you're not aware, and there's always new people checking out the show, Reese Smith is a unique person in Australian paintball. He is the only person in Australian paintball, in fact, the only person in the world that has this logo right here. This one. He has that tattooed on his leg. All for a pair of Anthrax pants, if you'd believe it. And it's like, it's big too. It's like, when he showed, I couldn't believe it. It's much... he told me he was going to get it tattooed on his leg, and I expected it to be like the size of your fingernail. It's significant. Absolute madness. Reese is in the last year of his 20s. You never have more friends than when you're 29. I was told when I turned 29. That's statistically backed up. I don't understand how, but apparently you never have more friends. So if you don't have many friends now, Reese, you're never gonna. And Timmy Colgan saying the NXLWA also kicking off on the 26th of March. Yes, I added all of the NXLWA dates to the Team Up calendar, which I promote endlessly and I feel like no one ever looks at. But all the dates are there. You can go and check them out. Cooper saying, might have to do it if we get free Anthrax pants. Look, mate, I'll get in touch with the people from Anthrax, and if you want to get the tattoo done, maybe get the PBHQ logo and the Anthrax logo or something. We can make that happen. I'm confident I can make that happen. Yeah. And if you want Anthrax, I actually have this from last week queued up. They've got deals on all their custom gear at the moment. So good sponsor of the show. Go and support them. That's everything that I've got for tonight, guys. Thank you for joining in yet again. Let's do it all again next Monday. I'll have results from the Singapore Paintball Series and previews for the Malaysian X-Ball League. So if you've got any friends in the Asian paintball scene, let them know about PBHQ as well, and we'll get them in for a big chat next week on PBHQ. All right, guys, have a good week. Bye.